Five Nights at Freddy's 2 has a great cold open going back to the 80s when Freddy Fanbears was a thriving pizzeria / child murder ring, but after that opening sequence, the sequel takes a nosedive. There's way too much melodrama. At times, it feels more like watching an episode of Hollyoaks than watching a horror film. The jump scares are unearned, the sanitized violence falls flat, and the horror set pieces never take the kid gloves off. It's boring, bloated, and it builds to a big nothing in its final act. There's more than enough Easter eggs and deep cuts to keep Freddy Fanbears happy, but there aren't nearly enough gory frights or campy laughs, or even a serviceable story, to simply satisfy a film-going audience. When the first Five Nights at Freddy's movie came out, I hadn't played any of the games, but my sister has since treated me to a box set of those early games, so I have a much better idea of what they're adapting now. I still don't really understand what the fuss is about, and I certainly don't understand why an entire row of Freddy fanboys cheered at the end of this movie, but I have a clearer idea of what they're going for. Before FNAF got an official film adaptation, the same basic premise made it to the screen in the Nicolas Cage B-movie Willy's Wonderland, and I had a ton of fun with that. It seems there are two schools of thought when it comes to telling these stories about killer Chuck E. Cheese animatronics. You either take a minimalist approach like Willy's Wonderland, where a mute janitor grimly gets on with his work and occasionally battles an animatronic animal, or you take a maximalist approach like Five Nights at Freddy's, and build a complicated Marvel-style mythology around this corny family restaurant chain involving a quest for immortality and a novelty trip to space. Both of these approaches have their merits, but after Five Nights at Freddy's 2, I'm leaning more towards the Willy's Wonderland minimalism. The Freddy's games have expanded the lore in a way that's fun, but this movie expands the lore in a way that just overstuffs and overcomplicates the plot. I'm coming to these movies to see creepy animatronic mascots kill people, but the more plot you pile on top of that, the more hurdles you put in the way of that grisly popcorn entertainment. The sequel doubles down on all that dream therapy bollocks, which was easily the weakest part of the first film. And the scares are very PG-13. It doesn't push the boundaries of a PG-13 rating like The Ring or Drag Me to Hell. It sits comfortably within those boundaries, obscuring gore and hiding the good stuff off screen. I'm reminded of that SpongeBob roller coaster meme. The new FNAF movie relies on cheap jump scares far too often. It doesn't bother building up to them like a truly effective jump scare, it just has things jump out and go boo. I know that happens a lot in the games, but in the games they work because they happen when you're least expecting it. There wasn't a single jump scare in this movie that I didn't see coming.
Oh, what the hell is that? What the hell is that?
McKenna Grace and Matthew Lillard are the standouts in the cast. They know exactly what kind of movie they're in, and they lean into the camp. I appreciate Josh Hutcherson and Elizabeth Lail playing it straight, but if anything, they take it too seriously. They don't play it straight in a knowing Leslie Nielsen way. They're acting like they're in Manchester by the Sea or Requiem for a Dream, and it's really not that deep. I know their characters are dealing with childhood trauma, but it ain't that kind of movie, kid.
Hey, kid. It ain't that kind of movie.
The only real bright spot in this film is the score by the Newton brothers. They bring a kind of synthy Stranger Things atmosphere that's frankly deserving of a much better movie. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is only 104 minutes long, but it feels longer than Oppenheimer. There's so much bullshit plot set up to get through, and worst of all, after all that setup, the ending still feels rushed and anticlimactic. It feels like it ends at the end of the second act when it's just getting going. It finally seems to be getting to its finale and then it's just over. What's the point of setting up a Freddy Fazbear festival full of Freddy Fazbear fanatics and bringing all the animatronics to Fazfest to kill all grown-ups if you're not going to have a Fazfest massacre? It's like if you were watching Star Wars and instead of blowing up the Death Star, all the rebels just turned their X-Wings around and headed home.
I think maybe I'll go back to base.
The first FNAF film was pretty fucking naff, but this sequel makes it look like a damn masterpiece.
Everyone called it an accident, but it wasn't until years later when those 5 children went missing that I knew she was murdered by him.
Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you liked the video. Remember to like and subscribe and click on the little bell. And also seize the day and call your mom and be kind to yourself.